Hey folks, this is Dr. Makube here. Apparently the video that we tried to do yesterday didn't work very well, so here we are. I'm going to explain to you how to manage your sterile field. Now remember the basics of wound care or just general hygiene in general. First, you're going to wash your hands, or at least declare that you wash your hands. You're going to put a new pair of gloves. Those are clean gloves. With those clean gloves, you're going to grab your sterile drape, which will look something like this. It's a white sheet of paper that you're going to lay down. So just imagine that everything here is dirty. So it's not clean, or it's clean but not sterile. This sheet of paper is sterile in itself. When you open this sheet of paper to lay it out, you're going to touch the corners. And typically the way these sterile drapes are put together is that they're already folded in like 4 corners, and you just grab each corner one at a time and lay it out, right? And the rule of thumb is that anything an inch out in diameter around the perimeter of the drape is considered not sterile, and then anything in the middle is considered sterile. So we're going to use the tea bag method again. So let's suppose this is my my sterile sterile dressing that I want to put on a patient. Using my clean gloves, not sterile gloves, because remember, anything on the outside, in other words, the bag, we consider that dirty or clean, however you want to look at it. And what we're going to do is I'm going to open this up, right? And with my clean gloves, and typically we have a better way of doing this than tea bags, where you are able to open it up, and then without touching anything on the inside, I'm going to drop the contents onto the sterile field, right? Now you got your stuff on the sterile field, you're good to go. Another way to manipulate this is if you have sterile instruments, which typically those sterile instruments, we don't have these in class, so you don't have to worry about this, but your sterile instruments are going to come in either a sterile drape like this that you open up, or they're going to come in a sterile container that when you open up, again, using the same principle, now you have your sterile instrument looking at you. If you are to use clean gloves and not sterile gloves, you're going to grab your instrument right here with your clean gloves. You know that the rest of this instrument is actually sterile, so I can manipulate and move this and put it where I need to put it without having to use my hands or my fingers. So the next thing now, because you're using the sterile technique on this patient, is you're going to go in and put on sterile gloves. So the process for doing that, again, simple. Remove the gloves that you have, which are clean gloves. You're going to don new gloves. You went through the lab on how to put in sterile gloves. And then once you have your sterile gloves on, you can now take the sterile dressing that you have and put it in your patient, close it up, and you're good to go. Things to remember when you do this is that not to cross-contaminate. So the example that I was giving in the last video was a student who is working on a patient, right? You are doing something with the patient, the breeding or whatever it is, and if you take any of the stuff that's coming off the patient and drop it in the sterile field, you've pretty much contaminated that sterile field. You would have to redo that sterile field altogether. So just remember that as you're working. We will walk around, and the thing that we will look at most of the times that most students will get wrong is that they will take whatever the breeding off the patient and put it onto the sterile field, which essentially just contaminates the sterile field. Now you have to redo the sterile field. If you don't identify that, we look at that as a safety issue, because you could contaminate a patient. I hope that helps. If you guys still have any questions, just let me know. All right, bye.